if you're a guest with us today, or maybe you are new to VNC, need to explain a little bit what's going to happen. We call today a rewind, fast forward, and for some you may think, well, that's you're kind of taking a break in bringing the message or whatever we're doing, but really what we want to make this time is about an opportunity for us just to reflect a little and to celebrate. I don't know about you, but sometimes we get going so fast and we go from one event, one agenda item to the next, and then all of a sudden we've failed to celebrate what's really taken place. And the schedule begins to dictate the pace, and it pushes us. And so today is all about us just taking a few moments, and we pause on what's happened in 2018, but we also look forward to what's going to be happening in 2019 and trying to scratch the surface. Now, we're not going to hit everything that took place in 2018. There's just not enough time. There have been countless events and trips and services and baptisms and serve opportunities and mission trips. All these things have taken place in VNC, in our body and believers and community. But what we try to do is just try to put it all a little bit together in little pieces here to create a little bit of a highlight video of 2018. Yeah. So as we've shared in the past, this is also a time for us. This is a little bit out of the norm, but we encourage you to participate with us. So if you hear something that is encouraging and is good news for you or you and your family, then we encourage you to applaud, to celebrate. However, we don't allow booing, because I'm sensitive. So we just want to do that. And this is the next little phase here that we need some participation. So I know that many of you serve and give your time and talents and resources to VNC, and you hate being acknowledged. And some of you have flat out said, please don't ever acknowledge me. This is the one time we're going to actually break our promise. So what I need you to do is, if I call this out and it is best reflects who you are, then I'm going to ask you to stand, and then I'm going to need you to stay standing for just a few moments, and then we'll have everybody sit together. But if you volunteer in any capacity with children, in the nursery, you coach soccer, you're in grade school, the preschool, any level, if you volunteer with children, would you stand up for me? And then just kind of stay standing, please? Yeah, okay. All right, everybody's good. All right, if you volunteer in any capacity with middle school or high school with students, beyond you need a medal, but anything else, if you're in student ministries, intramurals Monday night, Wednesday night, or Tuesday night, or Sunday night, would you rise too, please? There we go. All right, good deal. If you this year participated in 500 turkeys, Night to Shine, Serve Day, mission trips, you brought food to give away at 500 turkeys, would you rise with me, please? Yeah. If you volunteer in any capacity on the creative arts team, you play an instrument, you sing, you run cameras, you're in the media booth, anything, you run in computers throughout the building on Sundays, would you stand up for me, please? Yeah, okay. All right, if you're volunteering on VNC Online, you're one of the volunteers that are serving in that area, or in the dry pantry, or you're a volunteer that comes in on Thursdays and serve, or you're a counter throughout the week, would you stand for me, please? Just come on through the room. Okay. All right. If you teach or lead a life group, or if you are a first impression team member, where you're a usher, a greeter, you're working the front, guest central, wherever you may be in the building that are volunteering today, would you stand up for us, please, too? Yeah, okay. All right, and I think we've encompassed everything, but if not, if I've left anything out, you volunteer at any level here, and I have botched it, would you stand? Because I want to make sure we get everybody. We know it takes several hundred volunteers per week to make this thing happen, and so we just want to say thank you for all you do. Yeah, you can go ahead and be seated. So a year ago at this service, when we got together for Rewind Fast Forward, when we got together is when Pastor Tanner announced his retirement and transition from our lead pastor into the seat of emeritus. And it was a year ago. It's hard to believe that happened. And then in September, we did the retirement party, and we reminisced, and we brought everything in. And then in October, we were able to do the installation where I became your lead pastor. And this is significant because for the first time in 25 years, there was a new lead pastor here at VNC. And I am so thankful for Pastor Tanner, his friendship, his wisdom, and leading us well for all of those years and helping us be who we are. And so I just want to say thank you to him today. Yeah. And on the other side of this, I've been completely blown away by your support and faithfulness from email and text and phone calls and social media, that this is kind of a first year for all of us. There are only a handful of people that have probably been here longer than 25 years and remember the time before Pastor Tanner. And as it turns out, this is the first time I've ever pastored a church as well. So it worked out really well. It's new for all of us. I know it's kind of funny that in the community, when I came to VNC in 1996, I came as a youth pastor. So if you've been in the community for a long time, many people, they just go, "Are you still the youth pastor?" And I just say yes. I'm not going to correct them. So if somebody asks you about your youth pastor, just say he's lovely, okay? So in 2018, one of the things, though, that we wanted to really tackle was to kind of transform what was happening on a Sunday morning. If by chance you were under the weather, or you had a child that was under the weather, then you could stay home and participate in what was taking place. And it was just a live stream and what we would do. And we really wanted to take some opportunity and begin to transform that and change it and mold it and to create a better platform for us to take place and for us to be more engaging. And so VNC Online was birthed. There was training that went inside and went along, and Aaron Theophilus is leading as our online pastor, yes. And yeah, that's good. I love Aaron. And what is able to happen now is live stream. You were able just to watch, and when it was over, you kind of went on your way if your signal was strong enough wherever you're at. But what happens now with VNC Online, we are able to engage and find out what's going on. Even today, as there's a group watching with us and participating in our 9 o'clock service, our 10:45 will also be Tuesday evening, we'll be participating. We've got volunteers that will be actively engaging with those, praying for them, hearing concerns, hearing needs, setting up appointments, doing all those things. And so it wasn't what we did was bad, but what we're doing now is better. And this is an opportunity for us to fully engage with people. And so that was a very cool thing in 2018 to be able to transition that. Also, this past Christmas Eve, we celebrated 10 years, our very first service that we had in this room. For those of you that have not been around VNC very long, we moved literally about 100 yards over from our old sanctuary into this worship center. But our very first service was in Christmas Eve 2008. It was the shortest service we've probably ever had. It was probably about 15 to 20 minutes because it was below zero and there were no windows or back walls, and it was quite chilly in here. But the building was still under construction. You'll see some pictures of how some of us have changed over the years, in the last 10 years. But one of the things that took place is before this carpet went down, it was just a plain concrete. Underneath this carpet, if we were to pull it up today, all through this room, there are names, there are stories that are written all over this concrete where the people that were there that night were writing down names of people they were going to be praying for. There are people in this room right now that are here because your name is written on this concrete floor. It is very cool. It was a very emotional night. Well, this past Christmas Eve, when we got together, we celebrated that. We talked about if the walls could talk and tell the stories of what's taken place the last 10 years. And one of the things that happened is we're in the process of kind of redoing the platform here that I speak from, and and we did flooring that were stationed all throughout this room, and we wrote down new names, maybe some of the same names. But you as a congregation, as we gathered, there were stories that were being shared and written on those walls and written on the flooring that would take place of names and people that we care about, that we're praying for, that we want to see them come to a moment where they accept Christ in their life and transition and transformation takes place. And so Christmas Eve for us was very special. It was a 10-year celebration of what's taken place. And so also in 2018, we want to be financially accountable to you. As you hear us, we talk about the tithes and offerings and the collecting of resources that you give. And so we want to just take a moment and just kind of share what happened. And you'll see the graph that comes up just comparing 2017 to 2018 and just give you a couple of little stats. And you can read that graph of what was collected in 2017 and what was collected in 2018. At this point in time, at the end of 2018, all obligations were met financially. Everybody that we have accounts with are met in full. In 2017, one of the things we have always tried to do in the last 5 or 6 years is in the collection of side-by-side, which is the mortgage payment or capital campaign, we always try to make at least one extra payment per year on the mortgage to get us out of debt as quickly as possible. It's roughly around a little less than $40,000 a month. So in 2017, we were able to make one extra payment, which if you know on your own home, that's a huge deal if you can make extra payments and knock things out. 2018, we were able, before the end of the year, we were able to put an extra $300,000 on the principal. So that is really cool, yeah. It is through your generosity that makes that happen. And as we move forward, going into 2019, as we do this together, it is really an all-hands-on-deck type atmosphere. It is when we can do this and partner together and being generous. And we believe that God has called us to be generous people, to be a generous church, and to give of ourselves and as a corporate body. And so we continue as we gear up for Side by Side, which is like what we call our capital campaign or our building commitment. Side by Side, if you've been around in the past and you know there was a banner when you'd come in and we had numbers 1 to 1,000 and you could pick numbers however many you wanted and do that. And we decided to kind of change it up just a little bit this year, same principles, but to go on and do this. And so you'll see if you go to our new website, which has been transformed, valponas.org. You can go on and look at it. It's the same web address, but just a whole new content and format. You will see a link that says Side by Side. It's on the front home page. And when you click on Side by Side, you will see the amount that we need plus the number of pledges it will take to get it. And what we've done with Side by Side, we call it March Madness, is we'll make the pledges from now until the 1st of March, but in March we'll begin collecting these resources. And what it does is the more of this money we collect, then the less that we have to take from operation and ministry. So the things that we really want to be doing and really want to be tackling and the events that you are a part of, that frees up more resources to do this. So this March, we'll be collecting again for March Madness, and you will see these pledge cards. People have already gone on. That was happening earlier this morning, and people are going on and making their pledge commitments of what they'd like to do. And there's all kinds of ways you can do that. Maybe if you're going to get your a refund off IRS, or maybe there's a year-end bonus that you haven't already spent, or something you could be a part of this. It's really not about the amount that is given as much as it is about participating, that all of us are in this together and to be a part of this. You will see it takes about 550 gifts of these amounts to pull this off. And if we can, this will, again, afford us the opportunity to make extra payments on the mortgage and to get out of debt quicker and faster and to be, more better with our resources. So that's what we're trying to do, and you can see that and be a part of that and do this. So 2018, as we kind of summarize that, you saw the video, you saw a couple of things, but as we move forward, we need to take a minute and just kind of review who we are and what we do as we head into 2019. One of the mission statement that we talk about, you hear us speak about it constantly. It is painted on the wall. It's on the things that we share publicly, is that our mission is to help people become fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ. That we know that it is a broad statement, but it is actually pretty pinpointed, that we look at it individually. We want to help other people become fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ. That we believe Matthew 16:24 says, Jesus said to his disciples, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. So we understand that it's a struggle and it's hard because nobody really wants to pick up a cross. That doesn't sound like fun at all. But we want to do that to help people. And our vision in which we do that is we want to meet people exactly where they are. We invite people to come in and engage with us exactly where they are, and then we want to help them navigate the next step in their spiritual journey. Now, one of the motto that kind of comes out of that is our hopeful become walkers, our walkers become runners, and our runners become soarers. So if we kind of boil that down, that we understand that today in this room right now, there are some of you that you've been lifelong followers of Jesus. It started that you didn't have a choice. Your parents drugged you to VBS when you were 2, and you've just been in and you've been indoctrinated and you love it, and that's who you are. But for some, this may have even been your very first Sunday here. You've never heard of this, and you're not even sure why you're here, and it seems a little odd to you. And so wherever you're at, we want to help you navigate the next step, whatever that is, wherever you're at. So every Sunday when we gather as this community of believers, we want to take the hopeful to become walkers, our walkers will become runners, and our runners will become soarers. One of the verse that I love, it's hanging on the wall in my office, is Isaiah 40:31, that those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary, and they will walk and not be faint. That we believe that. We want to help you take the next step. We also believe that you and I, we are individually responsible for our spiritual discipleship. We're responsible for that I've got to be committed to it to help me take the next step. The strategy in which we tend to tackle that is through three things: the leadership, evangelism, discipleship. We call it LED. And leadership is encouraging, equipping, and empowering people to serve. See, some people believe that leadership is about, really kind of dictating what you should do, where you should go, how you should do it. But the way we view leadership is it's a little different. It's encouraging, equipping, and empowering people. It's empowering people to serve and to give of themselves. We believe that's what leadership is. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 11 says this: so Christ himself gave the apostles and prophets, the evangelists, the pastors and teachers to equip his people for works of service so that the body of Christ may be built up. So we believe in leadership is about motivating and helping people, equipping and serving. We also believe the power of evangelism is becoming intentional and missional while living in the tension between our creed and our deed. That what we say we are, who we say we are, and what we actually are in alignment. They're in agreement with each other. That we're intentional in wanting to reach out to people. That, we've talked about this several times, and we're going to keep talking about this. That sometimes in the busyness of our day, we tend not to be very missional with our lives. In fact, it's just survival mode of getting through the day. And what we want to encourage and challenge us, all of us, to be, is missional and intentional. That maybe if someone sits by you at the lunch table, if somebody sits by you at the work meeting, wherever you may be, that is an opportunity for you. It's an opportunity for me to maybe share my story, to share what's happening in my life, and that they begin to see that my creed and my deed are in alignment, that who I say I am and what I am really do matter. In Acts 1:8, it says, you'll receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you'll be my witness in Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. So as we do this together in Valparaiso, that we begin to just spread those circles to all these 4 areas. That's not just about the evangelism of my neighborhood, but it's to all of us in this community. The third thing was discipleship. Is that true growth is both knowing and becoming. See, for some, it's easy to just do the knowledge, the study that I've read, and I begin to take it all in. And we learn, but we don't necessarily transform. And what we want to talk about is the agreement between the two, that the transformation that takes place in my life and the knowledge of what I'm gathering go hand in hand. So true growth comes between between knowing and becoming. And again, that's part of that Isaiah, that the hopeful become walkers, the walkers become runners, and the runners become soarers, that we want to do that. We want to take that and transform who we are. Some of the things that we felt like were just value statements that we need to make sure that we understand, that we value a holiness lifestyle, That when God called us to be holy people, that it's honoring to him. So what we do on Sunday is important. What we do on Tuesday night is valuable. But the way we live our life, the way we go to work, the way we coach our child's team, the way we're neighbors, the way we respond to people at work is just as valuable. And we are being called to live a holiness life. That we value living our lives in small group environments that stress community with others. And when we see the first century church in Acts, that it was all about the community, and they went without. They lacked nothing. They didn't have anything, but they didn't lack anything. And we're surrounded in a community that has quite a bit and are pretty empty and broken and hurting. And so we believe that life change happens in smaller pockets of people, and they happen in these environments, and we stress that. We believe it's invaluable for us. It's valuable for us to attend together. It's valuable for us to come together and worship, to gather as a tribe, corporately, to come in here, to sing the songs, to share in what's happening. Every Sunday morning, there are those of you that are walking in, and you're coming in, and you're celebratory. Life has gone really well. Maybe you got the raise, you got a new job, she said yes. Whatever it may be, all of the things that come and bring celebration, as a community, we want to lift you up. But we also understand there are those that came in and they got a bad doctor's report. It wasn't what they expected. Maybe they lost their job. Maybe they're behind 2 months on their mortgage, but they came in here today. So the community is not about just come in and it's all fanfare. It's because we come in together and attending, and it creates this because we get to be it together. We'll grieve together, we'll celebrate together, but we do it together. We also value a life full of generosity and giving faithfully. We believe that we are called to be a generous church. That attracts people. It's attractive when you and I live generous lives, when we treat people well and take care of them and give of ourselves. We also value that of ourselves as serving others. When we had all those people standing, just know if you were sitting, we understand that's okay. Maybe it was your first week, maybe you're new, but we have plenty of seats on the bus where you can be serving and standing next year with us. We also value the power of a personal invitation. That we can't just do this alone, that we can't just be a country club that allows us to come in and we know the special handshake. That we got to have a life of invitation, that the opportunities that you are afforded, those that come in contact with you, they serve you at wherever your favorite breakfast place is, or you're at the work, or your neighborhood, or at your child's sporting event or band concert, or wherever it may be, that as an opportunity to share your story, that we live a life of invitation. We invite others to join us, and that they know without a shadow of a doubt, you can reassure them we're going to take them just like they are, wherever they're at in their spiritual journey, and help them take the next step. So as we look through 2017, we get the foundation of who we are, and we got to look at what is mission critical as we go into 2019. As we look at this, what is absolutely mission critical? That for us really to be the church that God's called us to be, what are the things that we have to do? Well, we go back in Matthew 28, it's called the Great Commission. And basically there are 4 real challenges that Christ gives. He says, go and make disciples and baptize and teach. Go and make disciples, baptize, and teach. And if we boil that down, that comes down to basically saying to multiply. To multiply. And multiplication, for us to really multiply, to do what Jesus has called us to do, for us really to multiply, it's going to take you and I with a relational investment. We have got to invest ourselves in other people. Back in September when we talked about this a little bit, we said that it was when my fruit was growing on your tree, that I'm investing myself in you, that I love you enough to give of myself to you. And think about how different our world, our community would be if everybody in this room was investing in one person. This is going to take leaders leading. Leaders leading. That's not necessarily telling people what to do, but it's equipping and empowering, encouraging those to serve and to give of ourselves, and it's leaders granting permission. So what is the most mission-critical thing that I believe God is calling us to multiply? This isn't about being the biggest church in town. This isn't about adding more people because it feels good. It's about us going out and doing what God has asked us to do for the kingdom. We're not just to sit here. We're not just to be a good group, and if somebody shows up, they show up. But it is about us taking ground for the kingdom. That we have to move beyond the day-to-day grind that takes place in our life. to take serious that the clock is ticking, that we're running out of time, that we have got to continue to go forward, and that when we move in mission critical, when we move in that atmosphere, then it comes to kind of happen that it is as if my life depended on it. And maybe another way to look at it is that their life depends on it. See, if we really believe that there is one way to the Father, and that is through the Son, and we've got that information to share, and if somebody doesn't hear it because we haven't shared it, then it's on us. And we've got to go. It's got to become mission critical that lives are at stake. Now, so as we kind of look into 2019, we think about being mission critical, we think about multiplying. Here's some areas that I want to throw out to you that I believe are going to be imperative for us. The first one is the VNC Online. Now, I know that we celebrated that in 2018, but let's take it and let's leverage it for 2019. So let me just clarify something of what it's not. VNC Online is an unbelievable, great tool for us to use. What it is not is on Sunday morning, you roll over and go, you know what today is? Today is a PJ, eat my donut in bed day. That's not what VNC Online is. It is not a, what if I got the dog and I built a fire and the bears are going to come on or whatever's about to happen, let's just sit back and let's take it easy. That's not what it is. Now, that could happen, and we understand. You sick, you got the flu, please don't show up. We don't want your stuff in the air here. But what VNC Online is all about is about reaching those people that may not be comfortable yet walking in, but it also has another dual purpose. We understand many of you are involved. Your grandparents or parents, you've got children or grandchildren, they're playing travel, whatever. Soccer, volleyball, baseball, you know what it is. You are indebted to the AAU circus of events that drag you all over creation. And one of them is on Sunday morning, you're out the door, you're going to be there. And so instead of saying to us, hey, this is my church and I love you and I'll see you in 3 months when the season's over, because we know that 2 weeks later there's another season starting. What we're going to ask you to do is leverage your relationship. The people that you are traveling with and your kids are playing and you know them, grab them together and say, hey, in the hotel room or in the lobby or at the ballpark or in the field or the gymnasium, we're going to pull up our church service. Would you guys like to gather up with us? Let's take a few minutes and do this together. Or maybe it's after a practice on a Tuesday night. Why don't you gather up with us? We're going to throw some hot dogs on the grill, and we're going to watch what's taking place. And none of us got to go to church Sunday. I'm sure you'd like to gather up. But we want to leverage these opportunities to live that life of invitation using VNC Online. It's a dual purpose to use that. So begin to leverage those relationships. All right, the second thing is the community. As groups, as Chris Gonzalez is transitioning out of the arts department and taking off and be running with our life groups, and those things will be shaping and forming, and we've got groups that are functioning right now, and we'll be adding new groups, but there are two that are ready for you to jump into right now today. Is tonight at 6 o'clock, we got a women's group that would love to have you, would love for you to be. If you are a female, come on. If you're a guy, you had to wait till Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Okay? Women, 6 o'clock tonight. Men, 7 a.m. Saturday. Get here. Be a part of this. I believe, and we've shared this before, that if you live your life in isolation, you will get picked off. If you think you can do life all on your own, you are sadly mistaken. We are not built that way. We are not designed that way. And it is not the way God created us at all. We talk about the fact that the zebra, when it goes to the watering hole in the Serengeti, it doesn't go by itself because the lion knows exactly what it is. But when a zebra goes to the watering hole with the herd, it's too hard for the lion to distinguish how big that animal is. It's the same thing in your life and in my life. If you try to do this alone, you're going to get picked off. Women and men, you can gather and do this and be a part of this. Saturday at 7 a.m., women, Sunday at 6 p.m. Also, this past Friday night, we kicked off Celebrate Recovery. This was the hurts, the habits, and the hang-ups. Anything going on that you're dealing with addiction, anything that is pressing on you that changes your normal day-to-day because it is pressing you to make some bad decisions. It's Friday nights at 6 o'clock. I can tell you they kicked off this Friday night to an unbelievable crowd. Do not let the enemy whisper in your ear and say, I'm too embarrassed to walk in. Do not let the enemy whisper in your ear You're better than that. Do not let the enemy whisper in your ear, you can do this alone. Because those are absolute lies. If you need help, what better place to throw up the white flag and say, I need help. I can promise you without a shadow of a doubt that group meeting on Friday night cannot wait to put their arms of love around you and walk with you. And walk with you. So yeah, that's good stuff. Also beginning Wednesday is Heroes Camp, and it's after school program for young boys in grade school, upper grade school, and early middle school. They'll be coming, and it is an opportunity. It's not just about basketball. And somebody might say, well, my kid doesn't play basketball. It's not about basketball. That's just a tool. We get them in there. There's mentoring that takes place with men that are going to help them. There's exercise. There's discipleship. There's food. There's all kinds of resources that are going to be that lobbied out to them and given to them. But this is about us reaching out into our communities, going into those children maybe that are growing up without a father. They're growing up without that dad in their life that can help be the rudder that they need, and Heroes Camp is about that, and that's what we're going to be doing this Wednesday night. So make sure these are serve opportunities. There's food prep. There's all kinds of things that will be taking place, but it's on Wednesdays after school. Now, also quickly, and you saw the slide that came up, Financial Peace University. Now, if we really believe, and I do, we believe that God's calling us to be a generous church. I think He's calling us to be generous individually. God's calling us to do these things. But I believe without a shadow of a doubt, more than probably anything else we've been said today, that debt, financial debt, is a noose around a lot of necks in His room. Financial debt is a noose that's choking you out. And it is. And I think what happens, again, Satan is really good at whispering because we respond differently to big, loud noises. But to the whisper, we tend to listen and believe. That he's whispering to you right now that you don't need that. You can do this. It's too embarrassing. It's too hard. Everybody in this room that has ever made money has made a mistake, a financial decision that you regret and wish you could change. Every one of us. We have bought cars we shouldn't have bought. We have maybe gambled when we shouldn't have gambled. We have done things that we should not have done. And then Satan whispers that you can get out of this, and what happens is it paralyzes you in fear and cripples you. I would be as strong enough to say this, that I believe that our financial situation individually could be the number one anchor in your spiritual life and development of what God is calling you to be. It's holding you back because you're fearful and you live a life of guilt and shame. Financial Peace University is a tool that can get you out of that grip. It is a tool, and if you really, and I really want to be what God's calling me to be, then we got to get out of debt. We got to get out of debt. And there's no better way to do this than to get together with other people that are in the same shape, and everybody knuckles each other and goes, yeah, I screwed up. Yeah, let's go forward. Let's change it. Let's make it right. Instead of spending the next 25 years trying to make a minimum payment and staying in the same hole, feeling terrible about yourself. This is an opportunity. It begins the first Sunday in February. There's materials out there. I'm encouraging you with all that I am. Step out there and sign up. Wouldn't it feel good going into 2019 with somebody just loosening the noose? Wouldn't it feel better to tackle the day? Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to promise you this, that there's no magic pill. Dave Ramsey's program is proven and it works. There's no magic pill. There's no week 4, you're gonna go, oh, that's how they did it, and I can skip weeks 5, 6, and 7, or whatever it is. There's no magic pill. You got to do the work, and you got to put in the time. But I encourage you to do this. FPU will help you take control of your money. It will help you plan for your future, and it will transform your life. And we will be what God has called us to be. Now, the last thing is all these things that we've talked about and we're tackling. So we talked about what happened in 2018. We talked about our foundation of who we are. We talked about where we're going in 2019, and there's more things to share, but we're not going to do that today. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. As a clear base of who we are as a church, we're going to ask you to tackle a 21-day prayer journey. When you get ready to leave in just a few moments, our ushers are going to give you a card. The next 3 Sundays, today's the first one, we're going to give you a card that are going to give you specific things to be praying for. This first week that we're looking at is a week of contemplation, that the question that we're going to ask you over and over is, what does God want me to hear? What does God want me to hear? And we're asking you to give 5 minutes a day. Now, if you're saying, there's no way I can do 5 minutes, we'll take 3, 4, 2, 30 seconds. But please don't close your eyes while you're driving. That's all we ask, okay? But we're going to ask you to do your best to carve out 5 minutes, to sit in silence for 5 minutes without the headphones on, without the TV on, without anything, 5 minutes. And just pray specifically, what does God want me to hear? And the card you're going to get are going to be daily prompts. Maybe there's some scripture to pray through. Maybe there's some just more questions for you. Next Sunday when you come back, you're going to get another card. It's going to ask you, who is my neighbor and what should I do? Who is my neighbor and what should I do? And then we're going to give you 7 more prompts for that week. And the third Sunday you're going to get is week 3. We're going to ask you to play for VNC. We're going to talk about, what is my next steps? What am I to do here? What is my role? Where do I fit? We're going to pray for the church. We're going to pray for leaders. We're going to pray for pastors. We're going to pray for finance. We're going to pray for all those things. But for the next 21 days, if all of us would commit to 5 minutes, what would change in our life? I think pretty significantly. So is that something you can do? Can you give us 5 minutes of prayer time a day for the next 21 days? We good? Yeah? All right. Good. All right, so we're going to do that. And so that is the challenge as we go forward, that is the foundation of who we are as we move forward. Okay, everybody good? All right, that's a lot. I was talking fast. All right, stand with me. This is good news, right? Yeah, okay. All right, good. Whew. First service through a parade, but I don't want to say anything. All right. Let's pray. Father God, thank you so much for who you are. Thank you for our time we get to worship and celebrate with you. Father, I pray now that you give us the burden and the passion to know you deeper, that we take the next steps in our spiritual journey, that we lean on your words. Father, that you give us a passion for multiplication, that we add people to your kingdom. It's not about us, it's about you. And Father, I just pray now that we go forward being the church and the people you've called us to be. And we ask these things in your most precious and holy name. And everybody said, amen. Amen.